You ready to get started?
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's do this. All right. Awesome, guys. I want to welcome you to the Personal Banking Podcast. Today, we have a fantastic show for you. It's a very unique show in the fact that it's actually my sister. Like really, like we just had this conversation, and our parents recently got married, and so yeah, I'm meeting my sister for the first time
That's so
on
cool.
a podcast. So you guys just know the conversations that's about to be had today is very unique. So super happy to be able to introduce Nelldra Allen. Thank you
That's
so much for
perfect.
joining me.
Thank you so much for having me, Cassius. I'm excited to be here today.
Awesome. Love to know. So how long have you been in the industry?
Okay, so I've been in real estate since 2018. So that's 6 years. Actually, this
Okay.
October made it 6 years for me.
That's awesome. So
Mhm.
6 years. That's amazing. And then what areas do you typically focus in?
While I live in Lawrenceville, Georgia, I actually practice all over the state of Georgia.
Okay.
And I have a lot of different networks and connections that allow me to do that. So I've gone as far out as Valdosta and Columbus, even just some places and pockets. So I operate all over, but my favorite place is closest to home, which is perimeter in Atlanta, north of Atlanta, the whole entire Atlanta area. Anytime somebody says they're from Atlanta, but they're really not, they're like Atlanta or an hour out. Those are my favorite places
That's
to
your
work.
territory. I got it. Very cool. One of the things I picked up is you said through your networks. Is there a specific network that you work with that you have? Is it multiple? Is it something now just secret or is it something you want to share?
It's not a secret at all. Really what ends up happening is I meet other agents, other like minded agents who are passionate about their job and about progressing people into purchasing houses. I connect with them, I keep their names, and whenever I have business, I send out business that way. Also, sometimes it's okay and easy to interview other agents through finding them on social media. I have a partnership with one agent. We just recently had a closing in Florida. That's another thing. I have my license in Florida, and
Oh, that's good to know. Okay.
I'm waiting on South Carolina to send me my license. They're taking so long. But I met a person on social media, called them, interviewed them, and we now have a strong partnership where we go back and forth selling houses. So it's just meeting people, vetting them, and holding on to them.
Absolutely. So cool. How is the real estate market currently in Atlanta? I hear a lot of things in Florida about the surrounding Atlanta area. Sounds all good from what I hear, but I want to hear from a professional in the area.
It really depends. The real estate market, now, first of all, this is a full disclaimer. I am a full time real estate agent. This is my job. It's what I do. I'm in the market. I'm working every day in real estate. So you have to get the information from a person who is a full time realtor because
Absolutely.
otherwise you get everything is relative. So,
Yeah.
first of all, let me tell you, we're in a market of equilibrium. So, it is neither, and you heard it from me first. Now, I know I'm going to get people who will argue with me about this, but this is true. It is neither a buyer nor a seller's market right now in Atlanta. Um, both buyers and sellers can get exactly what they want if you have the right agent. But there are some economic changes that are happening right now that is causing a bit of a slowdown for buyers. And not only does it cause a slowdown for buyers, but it causes apprehension for sellers because we're
Mm.
in the middle of an election. And I do feel like the US feds have tried to pacify the people by making sure these interest rates are low and steady, and they're only teeter tottering them up and down day by day. Just, oh, a little here, just kidding, we're back. Oh, we're up, now we're back. They're doing that. But essentially, the people are just unsure because of this election. And a it's a big election. Every man, woman,
Absolutely.
but everybody's looking at this election, and it definitely affects the way consumers spend, especially big spending like buying a house. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, it's so true. And that's why I'm so excited to be able to get out how to really look at an interest rate, what it really means to you at
Mhm.
the end of the day. Because I think if you had a plan against it, it doesn't matter what it is. Because most investors, most of their homes are not 2 and 3% interest rates. A lot of their homes still make sense. Their investments can make sense at 7, 8, 9% interest rates, right? If you bought the home right.
Absolutely.
And if interest rates was where you want it to be, then what's the opposite of that? The home prices may not be where you want
That's exactly when it comes to interest rates and homes. A lot of times the consumer will say, well, I'll just wait till the interest rates go down. But you have to understand you're going to be dealing with a different beast then because everybody's going to be out and shopping for a home. And when the demand is high, the supply is low, the prices are higher. So even if the supply is just right on par, people are still like, oh, you're buying now, so we're going to hike the prices up. There's no winning. There's just jumping into the market, in my opinion.
to. One thing I can sense from you being full time is that you seem to thrive when it comes to educating, right? To be able to give that type of picture of where we are. You can give an accurate education to someone that is looking to win in real estate because nobody wants to get in and lose because you can't get in real estate and lose if you don't have the right person assisting you.
You really hit the nail on the head because, first of all, I used to be a teacher, and
There it
that's
is.
actually what I went to school for. I am big on educating because half of the fight, half of the battle for getting people to purchase houses is the miseducation of what it means to purchase a house and what it means to be a homeowner and if I can even do it. And that's a really huge component for me as a real estate agent. And I don't even, this is just going to be a little segue. You can cut this part out if you need to. But a couple of years back, my husband and I started a nonprofit organization. And our nonprofit specifically seeks to help minorities, underrepresented people in the communities in our local area to purchase homes through education and financial resources. It's such a big deal because a lot of times people just don't think they can do it. And the education, interest rates, mortgages, down payments, all of those things are like, it's foreign to a lot of people.
It is. You just really spoke to something that I read and it really impacted me. And it said African Americans or even millennials today underestimate how important a starter home is.
Oh,
Like we go straight for the
my
home
heart
of
hurts.
our dreams instead of, and we spend all that time when we could have had a starter home and transition upwards to the next home. We
And
missed
it's
that such key component foundation.
so true. Oh my goodness. Two things. One thing, African Americans, of all of the Americans in our country, only 40% of them are African American homeowners. 40%.
Wow.
Keep number has been the same number since the 1930s when it was legal to discriminate and have
Mm,
mortgage discrimination. It's the same number.
it never went up. Wow.
It may teeter up and down a little bit. It went up just a tiny bit in the early 2000s, but it just went back down and plateaued. We have this mindset also of this idea that there's no such thing as delayed gratification. I think social media has made it worse because you see the luxury lives
Yeah,
and then the kids are like, there's no way I'm going to be able to afford this $1 million home. You don't have to. Get this $200,000 home, make the best of it, build equity, and use the equity in your first house to buy your next house. I
that's right.
tell people that all the time. So it's really true. And it's just about making that first step.
That's right. Go
Mhm.
in with a wealth building strategy, like a long term real estate strategy. I have a friend of mine, and he lives in $1 million home. On paper, they shouldn't be there, but on strategy, on what they did, it allowed them to be there. So
Wow.
I'm like, wait, hold on, what happened? He was like, every 10 years we upgrade our home and we roll the equity into the new home. Every 10 years This is our third home.
Wow.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So he had a strategy. So I'm like, okay, when we look at what we're doing, we're paying off the home instead.
Hmm.
What would that look like 30 years down the road? Right? If you're now doing that. So yeah, it's going in with a strategy. You're spot on about the starter home. We got
Yeah.
to take better advantage of starter homes.
And a starter home is absolutely just fine. That may mean it's not going to be what you see on Instagram and
Yeah,
Facebook. That may not necessarily be it. It will still be worth it. And I find myself convincing people sometimes, just go ahead and buy your home so you can build equity because you're not building equity as a renter.
correct.
Anyway, even when you're
Correct.
doing rent to own, the equity is still eaten up by fees and other hidden things, which I do rent to own with some of my clients, but I let them know, I'm like, listen, there are fees and this is an expensive route to try it. But if you
Right.
must, I can help you, but it's expensive. So
I want to tell you something I read and get your opinion on this. Banks are starting to finance rent payment.
listen, I have not heard that. However, there is an initiative in our country that people have not really heard of. They don't know or they're sleeping on it. And it's called A Nation of Renters. And you
Yeah,
will see new construction popping up, and it says on the sign for rent.
100%.
It's an initiative called Nation of Renters. They would love if people did not own homes. I would absolutely love if I had forever renters.
Right.
That means you're paying my
Absolutely.
mortgage and I don't have
Yeah.
to, and my interest
Yeah.
rates and my insurance. I absolutely would love it. So, um, I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if that was the case.
I have a development maybe a mile from me, townhomes, and I'm like, they selling? Are they selling these? Oh, they're actually renting out those brand new development townhomes. Not one of them is for sale.
That's right.
Because we do it backwards. We buy the dream home and then we go and look for a property that should have been a starter home.
This is what I did. I'm not even gonna lie. My husband and I, we bought a house when we were very young, which was a blessing.
Yeah.
And I did not know and understand real estate the way that I do now.
Right. Yeah.
So instead of renting that house, we sold it.
Yeah.
And then we used the equity to get into our second house. And then now we're like scratching and scrounging to get to our next investment property. We did buy a property, but now we're doing all of the things to get to the next level, to get to the next one. So
Yeah.
I just wish I wish I had it. It was a $150,000 house too. Don't even
Yeah.
make houses that like that price anymore.
Correct. You can't build them for that no more.
You can't even build them for that anymore. Yeah, I tell people all the time, they'll call me, they'll say, "Hey, I want to sell my house." And I'm saying, let's sit down and talk about that. Now, why are you selling the house? Because I want my people to get
Mm.
rich. I want people to build
Oh,
wealth. I'm
if
like,
that ain't a realtor for you, oh my God. Realtors don't say that.
listen, all
They want to
day
sell you a house and get gold. She just said she wants to get rich.
I do. And so I'll go through it. One of our big exit strategies for myself and my husband is using our houses on Section 8. They don't call them
Hmm.
Section 8 anymore, but it's called per state. It was a beautiful house too. So,
Mm. My granddad actually owns 3 homes, and 2 out of the 3 is on Section 8. My granddad's 84 years old,
wow.
and we're now taking the rents from that and actually paying for a caregiver that allows him and my grandmother to still stay in the home and have their independence. It hasn't been a time in life where no matter what happened, the rents from those homes came up and felt the need of whatever was happening in life.
Wow.
because life is going to deal us some cards, and they ain't all good,
Right.
right? And so if you got cash flowing properties that come about and help you throughout those times when you get dealt the bad card, like imagine where you're going to be, right? So that is the purpose of, yeah, people, we got to get in, we got to pay these homes off and roll into the next
That's
one, because if we do it the right way, real estate can come alive and save you.
right. Mm.
Not Bitcoin, because we can't control it, but real estate. Bitcoin is an investment, but it ain't real. I can't touch it, right?
So let
It
me
ain't
ask
got insurance.
exactly. Let me ask you a question. What you think? Do you think it's advantageous to pay off an investment property, pay it all the way down to zero as well, or to leave the balance on there? I'm just curious.
I think, me personally, I say pay it off and roll into the next, right? Me personally, and it depends on where you are. It depends on how savvy you are.
Mhm.
Everybody's savviness is at a different level, right?
Yeah.
But for the person that wants to pay off that home and purchase, if I got a multifamily, like I'm trying to get it paid off. I'm allowing the debtors to actually pay it off and
Right.
pay it down and pay it off as fast as possible, because I don't want to pay the interest on that property. Here's a stat for you, and I love the stat that you gave me about African Americans owning 30% of homes since the 1930s, when it was illegal for them to own a home. Am I
Mhm.
saying that correct?
40%.
And it
40%.
hasn't went up since then.
Mhm.
Here's another stat for you. Every person with a high school diploma in their lifetime makes on average $1.7 million. We're all millionaires. Here's the problem: 34% of that goes to taxes,
Oh.
40% of it goes to interest,
Oh my
goes to taxes and interest.
goodness.
We have to stop allowing lenders and banks to just prolong us paying interest payments and start recapturing those dollars so that we can get out of that and put that interest behind us instead of in front of us, right? They call interest in a plane, they call headwinds, that's like turbulence.
Mhm.
But guess what? If the wind is behind you and pushing you, that plane is going faster. So that brings you velocity. That increases your speed of wealth. So yeah, it's I would pay it off. My mindset is I want to pay it off.
Wow. Yeah.
Because if anything happens, I got it. I'm done. If my granddad had to make payments on that property, what happened if somebody move out?
Mhm.
But now he got to come out of his pocket, and he still has his housekeeper or his assistant that's helping him.
Yeah.
For him, it worked best that it paid it off. Yeah. Looking into the future, have you had clients in the past that have benefited from purchasing and was able to roll that into their next policy or property?
So, because I've been in real estate for 6 years, most of my clients are still in their first house, especially
Okay.
because, the average used to be 5 years per house, but it's changed. I got right in, COVID was happening, and then honestly, since COVID, there's been a lot of uncertainty in the economy, especially with presidential things and all of that. So most of my clients are still in their first house. I do have one that did purchase a house and they have purchased a second one and they were able to upgrade and get a bigger house. Yeah.
You said something that's so key. Times are changing so fast now,
Yeah.
right? And especially after COVID, like things are moving so quickly. Jobs are now changing. You see Elon Musk coming out with robots and all of this stuff, right? If you have a debt, it's even more important to get it paid off now.
Mm,
As industries are changing, if it happens, are we at a good time to be able to pivot with it? We don't know.
right.
All we know is today we're healthy, we can make money. Let's get the roof over our head done with so that we always have a place to be. and then we'll work on the next after that. So many times we see people in heart attack, cancer, strokes come in a 30-year mortgage. That's a long time, right? What do we have in place to help us during those things that, when we think about it, runs in our family, unfortunately?
Yeah. Yeah, there's
We
definitely
have to,
you have to have something in place. You
yeah,
either have to have something in place or you have to get rid of your overall debt.
absolutely. What excites you about real estate? Like, in terms of where it's going, what's the good part?
Well, there's also been a lot of changes in real estate over the last year or so. A lot of consumers have heard about the NAR settlement, and
Mm-hmm.
that definitely makes a difference for some people. It changes some of the foundational things that have been in real estate since real estate was born. So that affects the future of real estate. As for me, I am a savvy agent. I'm very educated in this field, and I'm not just doing real estate. I'm immersed in it, and knowing better, how to move and maneuver through all of these new changes. So I still think real estate is anywhere in the country and also anywhere in the world. People who are wealthy own real estate. And
That's right.
a lot of times they get their wealth, they start at real estate and then they blossom somewhere else. Sometimes they start somewhere like maybe their successful business or something successful. And what they do is they buy real estate, whether it be land, whether it be buildings, whether it be houses. People become wealthy with real estate. And so it's important to know how to use real estate as a tool. And as much as I am embedded in real estate, I still have gaps myself. I don't know everything about real estate. I don't know, there's still so much I don't know. I would love to know how to really utilize this tool, but it's just so much. So I just have to
So many
surround
different ways.
myself. Yes.
Yeah,
So I just have to surround myself with people and these networks and these communities who know. And sometimes I just sit at the feet of people who know what they're talking about and listen so that I
that's
can
right.
understand it and I can teach somebody else. Um, because like you, I want to get some multifamily unit buildings too. I actually, here's a funny thing. We have a rich friend named Chris Holmes, and
Get out of here.
I call him a rich friend. He would not appreciate me calling him a rich friend, but they unit properties and just do really big things. And so sometimes I'm calling him up. I'm like, okay, what's next? How do we do this
Yeah,
part? How do we get unstuck? We made
yeah,
it what? And, sometimes
yeah, yeah.
that cautiousness makes you stuck. You're like, I don't really know what to do. I don't want to mess this money up. So,
So it sounds like you've identified mentors that you're able to work with and learn from. And everyone, you don't have to know everything about everything, but you
yeah.
do need to be a pro and having a coach and hiring a coach in every area. So whether that's your faith, your family, your fitness, real estate, who are you going to get you to the next level? Right. And that's something that everybody can do, is have their person for each one of those categories. Even fun. Sometimes you need a coach. You need to, I want to travel somewhere. Like, where should I go? What should we do?
Yep.
And that person is coaching you on how to have a good time, right? So
Oh, such a big
absolutely.
thing. I feel coaching is the single most important expense in my annual budget. Because if you have a good coach, it just gives you direction. And sometimes you need to change direction. Coaches
Yeah.
can help you see those different things. Yeah, I'm 100% with you on that.
Tell me about what you do to continue to nurture a relationship after you've helped someone sold a home, because so many people, the realtor helps them get a home and then they're gone. And it's like, hey, you remember me? Like, how do you keep in contact with your clients and checking on them and keep that open line of communication?
Are my babies. All of my babies are 70 years old. I'm not going to lie
Mm,
because oh I want this to work for them again. Like I said, I don't want to just sell a house. I want to sell it and I want you to be able to stay in it. And I want you to be able to use it to build wealth or to leave a legacy so the next generation
Mhm.
can build wealth. Because some people, again, like I said, some of my babies are 70. Some people are buying a home for the first time in their 60s and 70 and a 30-year mortgage when you're
Right,
60
right,
and 70. You're never paying
right,
it off, buddy. Okay. So
right.
I was just saying.
That's
So
true. And somebody better have a plan, right, to inherit that debt because
yeah,
it got to go to somebody.
something to foster the relationship. I take specific points of the year to educate my clients. So, for example, the year after they purchase a house, I'm like, okay, you good. Call me when you need me. I'll send out print marketing to their houses. I'll check on them with print marketing and things like that. Remind them of me that they will call me. I have clients from my first year who still reach out to me. But
Right,
after the first year, I make contact with them several times. The first time I made contact with them is in January to remind everybody to file for their homestead exemption. You bought a house last or a few months ago, and this is something important you need to do by the 1st of April so that your taxes are reduced. And then I reach out to them again in the springtime and I let them know, hey, your county assessor just sent out your tax assessment. In that tax assessment, it's going to tell you whether your taxes are going to increase or decrease. And if it's going to tell you your taxes are increasing, if there's been no special assessments in your area and there's been no improvements to your home, you might want to check that and appeal your taxes. The big one because a lot of times people do not appeal their taxes, especially in the African American and Hispanic community. You get into your house, you just live there. You get this little postcard, and at the top of the postcard, it says, "This is not a bill." So you throw it away. It wasn't a bill, but it was still your money you threw in the trash. So I let my clients know about that. Then I reach out to them again when it's tax season. And I let them know you have taxes, your taxes are coming out. It's already in your escrow. Most of my clients have escrows. It's already in your escrow, but you will get a bill. Don't let the bill scare you. And then I always say, don't worry, Jesus paid it all. And I always use that same phrase. And I've done that for years. And I'll tell them, this is going to happen. And then I'm going to say, Jesus paid it all. And then you'll remember. And yeah, so those are the times that I reach out to them. I make those touch points with them intentionally through the year. And then I just remind them, y'all can call me. I'm still your realtor.
always like I've heard people doing tax liens and they always run to Georgia. So to be a realtor where you constantly are keeping up with everyone around those times around that, it seems more important than ever to be with someone that knows what they're doing and got a game plan on how they're going to continue to
Hmm.
service you in Georgia. Wow, that's because I've heard of a lot of people losing properties in Georgia.
Yeah, what I honestly think happens with those properties is that those people typically have paid their property off because I don't know people who don't have an escrow when they have a mortgage. A lot of people don't do that. But what happens is sometimes the people will pay their property off and they're like, oh, I did it. I'm done.
Done.
But you're not. And so years may go by and you'll have a bill and you're like, that's not for me. I paid my property off. But your
Yeah,
taxes,
right.
you still have to keep paying your taxes. And so sometimes that's what ends up happening. And I've gone to some
Yeah.
of those tax lien sales and it's tough. People are losing their houses sometime over $2,000.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And it's probably inherited properties as well that
Oh, that's
the
the
kids.
worst. That's
Yeah.
the worst when they're the unclaimed properties.
Yeah.
Have you ever, I'm sure you have, your tax assessor's website and you go into the portion that says unclaimed funds or unclaimed money and there's
Yeah.
it's the same thing with properties. Someone a piece of property has been bequeathed to someone and they don't know what to do with it or they don't know they're supposed to be paying taxes on it. And so then you get the investor who will come
Hmm.
and purchase the tax lien and you have that tax lien. And by the way, I'm saying me as an investor, but I have never purchased a tax lien. But you purchase this tax lien and you're able to hold on to it for a certain amount of time, depending on where you live. And if the person hasn't come to claim it, then that property does become yours. But you've got to do all of the things to make sure that that property is recorded in your name. And if someone is living in there, let's say there's an elderly, sickly lady living in there and that property is now yours, you got to evict her,
Yeah.
you know? So, yeah, it happens, but
The interesting thing is I've done a couple of these podcasts and interviews, and everyone brings a different energy. But what you bring is so educational and so built around protecting the customer and getting them to wherever it is they want to go, whether it be generational wealth by passing down a property or getting rich. If someone is out there and they're looking for that guidance of somebody that can get them to the next level, like you would be the go-to in Atlanta. It's fantastic, or all of Georgia,
make
including
sure you
Florida.
put that one
And
in. Don't cut that part out.
eventually South Carolina. Come on, Soko, let's hurry up now.
Yes,
That's
it's
awesome.
true. It's true. I'm very protective of the things that we make, very protective because there's been, oh gosh, I read this book called The Color of Law and it messed me up. Sometimes I wish I hadn't read it, but I read it and now, like the Bible says, along with adding all of this knowledge, it gives you grief. Well, I tell you, it did grieve me, but it gave me a perspective to protect and to make sure that I educate. And now I let my clients know this is why I'm protecting you in this way, or this is why I'm not moving so fast in this decision. It's not that what you're telling me doesn't matter. We need to be cautious and meticulous about the things that you sign and the things that you know, because I don't want this to backfire on you. Because you failing and keeping your home for me is a failure on my part of educating you. So you're right. You pegged me.
Yeah. I would always hear from my dad, hey, Nene, I'm telling you, you need to get with Nene. There's something between you two
Yep.
that when you guys connect, I just feel like you can make some things happen. And
Yeah,
so I can
same
see
thing.
why he said that.
My
I can
mom
see
says
why
the
he said
same. I'm feeling the same thing because I'm thinking we're doing this podcast, but I'm like, oh, I gotta Chris and see. We got some more talking to do.
Next 5 years, what does real estate look like for you in the next 5 years?
Oh, okay. So, I have a 12-year-old, which means my kid is gonna be 17 in the next 5 years. Okay. In the next 5 years, in Jesus' name, I plan for myself to have purchased five more properties, at least five more properties. We have a goal to purchase one property per child. Okay, we got four kids. We have our first kid. We bought his house already 2 years ago. When we got to buy a house for all the other kids. Along with that, I just see myself just continuing to expand. For me, real estate in the next 5 years means my nonprofit is going to be helping more people to purchase houses. Yes, I'm a realtor. This is my number one job. But then this
Right.
love came and landed in my lap in the form of a nonprofit. And I'm like, I'm helping people out here who thought they could never buy a house. It was never in their wheelhouse. And I'm helping people. And so that's just become like a love of mine. And I see that getting even bigger. In fact, we were
Yeah.
just awarded a $15,000 grant this past week. And
Oh,
I'm
that's amazing.
so
Congratulations.
happy. Thank you.
Yeah.
But that's at least 15 more families that we could help with
Right.
close and down payments and appraisals and inspections and all of the things. I just see great things in 5 years for real estate. I see, no, I'm going to be honest, no matter who is the president, there's going to be stabilization in the economy. No matter who is
Yeah.
in, there's going to
Yeah.
be a stabilization in the numbers. Consumer confidence is going to go up by the time March next year comes around. Everybody's going to be calm. It doesn't matter who's there. Everybody's going to be calm. But right now, nobody knows what's happening. Everybody's scared. And so that's 4 of the next 5 years is a stabilization. There's going to be people are going to feel confident, and because of their confidence, I'm going to make some dreams come true, and I'm going to make some money too.
Nice. Well, I can tell you, it's such a blessing to have yourself that is anointed with the gift and the passion to want to help others get into real estate. I can tell you for myself, I ran across somebody of that same goal, and I had bought a home. I came home and told my wife, I think I bought a house, but I ain't sure. She's like, what? What you mean?
That's what's up.
And the process went by so smooth. And I'm like, man, that's it. I should have been bought one. Like, if
Yeah.
that was the case, right? And you
Oh,
can
that's
come across
awesome.
that person that truly makes it that easy for you. And I know you're blessing people with those same vibes and same education as well. So, to my sister, new sister,
That's so
I say thank
sweet.
you for your
Wait,
joy.
I'm gonna tell all the other siblings, they're gonna be so jealous.
Well, we have to make sure we can connect. I need to come up to Atlanta and do some stuff as well. So when I do, let's make sure we connect and we can get
Oh, I'll get
everybody together.
everybody together for sure.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Chris.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. I'll